All right. All right, everybody hears me good, and my backup to see works good. Okay, great. Okay, let me turn off my phone.
Need to send Bill Robertson's trying to join us through Zoom.
All right, I'm ready. I appreciate this opportunity. It's been a pleasure working with you guys on our previous project, and I definitely look forward to not only assisting you with your future projects, but also coming back and doing these types of presentations that are beneficial to especially the business environment. So I'll go ahead and get started. Let me just.
Recorded all that downtime too. I can edit it.
I just recorded. You got
The whole last 10 minutes of recording.
that? I mean, you just chop it. That's simple.
Yeah.
1 second.
And Trina, I want to let you know you did excellent work with the membership packet, and the bylaws, and getting the Google Classroom set up. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was definitely a pleasure. And you know, hopefully it'll grow into exactly what you want. Hold on a minute. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. All right, so thank you so much. I'm really happy, Pastor, that you know, the package that we did for you really will be beneficial. Just to let you know, I served a number of years as vice president and president of the Pleasantville School Board. So all of that kind of knowledge of running meetings and bylaws and policies and procedures I'm really good at. Prior to that, I worked at the casino in the EDP, information technology departments, and we had to meet the protocol for the state requirements. So that's where I get all that knowledge from, making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because that's been, computers has been my main career, but I started out with it being a dual kind of skill set that I got experience with because of the department that, you know, we worked in. And technology still is a critical confidential security type of industry. And so it's, you know, it's good to know those kinds of procedures and policies for any business, because, you know, it's just, everything is so digital now. Everything's automated, and agencies like yourself have to protect yourself from a minor policy and procedure guide to, you know, your bylaws, things like that are critical, because you don't want bad intentions to come from great material that you have developed. So I thank you for that comment, and we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Trina Byrd. I've been around for a few years. I have always been I started out my career when Microsoft Works, I don't know who's on the call that may be of my age, but Microsoft Works was the biggest software out there, and then it became Microsoft Office. And then they had a little bit of Lotus people in there, DBase and WordPerfect, those kind of things. But Microsoft kind of, you know, it rose to the top, and it maintained that position for years. Well, guess what? Google Workspace has beat them hands down. And I'm going to show you why and how in this presentation that is specific to business owners. And because this platform is free, it just makes it all even, you know, so much more better, because olden days we were paying $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 for Microsoft Office. Google came out totally free from the door and has grown in leaps and bounds. as you will see in this presentation. So I thank you all for attending. I know we are hybrid, so I won't take time to introduce, have everybody introduce themselves, because some are in person and some are digital. So welcome everybody. If you want to use the chat to say hello to each other or announce yourself, please do so. All right, I gave you a little bit of background, but the T.Byrd Center has been, we actually started our company technically in 1988. It was a home-based business, and then in 1990, we moved to a storefront. We have three main divisions: our T.Byrd Computers, which is a state-approved private vocational school. Many people who ride past our building here kind of think that we're out of business and we don't exist anymore because there's no cars in the parking lot. And back in the day, the parking lot would be full, alongside the building was full. And probably around 2015, I was getting so many requests to do evening programming, but people didn't want to come out late at night, and they kept asking for online classes. And my business manager at the time said, Trina, we really got to look into this online thing because it's probably going to be something big. So we started to develop a project to take everything we were doing in person and convert it over to a digital format or a internet format. And we successfully did for about 2-3 years. And believe it or not, we didn't get the response that we thought we were going to get. I wanted to do business with all of the agencies in the area, and they're like, no, we got to be in person. We don't think that digital thing is going to work. And then comes the pandemic. And then we start getting calls. Well, do you still do that? How did you set it up? So we started to develop a platform where we teach people how to create and automate their business as much as they can in the digital internet world, over the cloud, whatever term you use. And it was great because we had those years of experience in developing it and getting all the kinks out and making sure that it was a structured, flowing program that would allow the same experience you have in person. And so, we always have these glitches, things do occur, but there's always somebody trying to develop something to fix that glitch. So we're always, going to be able to deliver in this new world that we live in. Our T.Byrd Center is where we used to house our students. Now it's, we do special projects there. We're also looking for a tenant. If anybody needs some space, we're trying to do good in the community, not, like try to kill you in overhead so you can't do your product or service. So it's still in good condition, and it's, great for any kind of business, professional business, I would say. And then we have our T.Byrd Consultants, which is our career and development, where we work with nonprofit organizations as well as for-profit to help them infuse their technology, career development for people that are unemployed. We also do a podcast every week, Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and we interview businesses to highlight their business in order to give them an opportunity to just have a marketing platform that can grow their business, because we do have a pretty large following between our social media platforms. So that's pretty much my world that I live in now. And today's presentation for the South Jersey Christian Business Network, we're going to discuss this wonderful program, and you can hear the excitement in my voice. I thought I loved teaching Microsoft Office and QuickBooks, but I have to tell you that Google Workspace is like a grandchild. I mean, you love your children, but you really love your grandkids. And this is my grandbaby. This is my grandbaby. And not only because it's free, but it is the best platform since Microsoft, which pretty much has taken second place. I mean, there's still companies that really do utilize the Microsoft because they're integrating. I would say they do both platforms. They're a little bit Microsoft Office and they're a little bit of Google Workspace, and it all works together. I can tell you Microsoft is trying to follow behind Google Workspace and all of the new techniques and platforms that they actually have. And you can always tell how well a company is doing by way, especially a software company, by way of who taps into their platform and provides link between their software and their platform to that platform. And Google is infused in every industry, every software. They have about 1,000 add-ons that you can add on to the program to make your experience in Google Workspace work, because these other programs that exist outside of Google Workspace are great as well. So rather than recreate the wheel, they join together and they provide that vehicle so that they can all work together. So this learning this and taking this workshop today is going to give you an eye opener as to all of the possibilities of how this collaboration tool can assist you in running your business more efficiently, effectively, and what's most important, time management, because it does save a lot of time and energy because all of these programs do work together. Now, this list here, what is Google Workspace? This list here is just a small, these are the main programs. So it has a contact management system. Obviously, everybody knows about Google Gmail. Google Drive is the big kahuna. If you have a lot of files and documents for your clients and customers and vendors, and you have to maintain paperwork, you want to utilize Google Drive. And I'm going to, give you a couple of hints on that as we go through this presentation. Google Calendar is great. The docs, sheets, slides, forms, meets, sites, the blog, and the classroom. So I'm going to go over each one of these items and just show you how you can use them in your business. So let's go ahead and get started. I didn't have you guys email ahead of time, but when I do this workshop, I usually send out our little workbook so that you can take notes, but it doesn't matter. You can take notes on your phone, or, if you got your pencil and paper there now, you can go ahead and do that. And I suggest it because it's very important to remember what the power of these individual programs can do and what you would use them for later on as you develop this. So the first one is Google Contacts. That's simplified. You want to track your potential customers, your actual customers once they become a customer, your vendors' proposals. You never want to put your actual customers in the same kind of file folder as your potential customers. I had a client one time. He was he is a what is that when they work on your back? What do you call them, people? Chiropractor. And he bought this proprietary system and he was he was doing workshops educating people about how to actually benefit from using his services. So when people would call to register for his class that he would hold at a place like where you're at now, and he would serve them lunch and all that. And then, that was a potential marketing process that he used to get new clients. And so they would add, his staff would add those customers to the actual database. And that database was also the database in which he would download to the medical industry, where he would get paid from the insurance agencies for the services provided. And he got kicked, his whole process got kicked back because he had a ton of people in this database that never received services. So he didn't get into trouble, but once he explained what he was doing, they were like, no, this is only for actual customers that you provided services. So that's my point, being that you don't want to miss your actual customers with your potential customers or your recruited customers. And with Google Workspace, you can do that. You just create a separate file folder and you will name that actual customers or recruitment. And then, of course, put the appropriate contact information in the appropriate file folder. Of course, for your vendors, proposals that you submitted, all of that good information. Over here, you see a list, their email address. So it's just like any other contact database. One of the questions I always get asked is Gmail the same as Google Workspace? It's all one conglomerate under the umbrella of Google. They changed it from Google Suite, similar to Microsoft Office Suite, it was Google Suite. Now they've changed it to Google Workspace because it's got so many more added on apps that go and work simultaneously with their main programs. So they also created a business version, and that is where you can actually get your own customized business email address. So it would say at tbyrdcenter.com opposed to trinabyrd@gmail.com. That only costs $6 a month, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So you might want to not only consider that, because when you buy the $6 version, you get a lot added more features. But I don't say run out there and spend $6. I know it's a little bit of money. You may want to go ahead and spend $6 so you're kind of locked or grandfathered in, because that may go up to 10. Like the dollar store went from $1 to $1.25, and it just blows my mind. I just can't buy the same way as I used to. I know it's only a quarter, but it just blows my mind. And the same may be with, you going from $6 to $10 just to send email. But the end result is that you do get some extra features. You don't necessarily need those features. You want to do your homework. It's all about security. So if you have a health industry type of business and you have to worry about that confidential personal information, that kind of thing, then you want to get that version. But if it's security is not a big deal, you're just using it for everyday things, then you might not even need to do the $6 a month. You do get, however, unlimited group email addresses. It has twice the storage space as your regular. And then you don't have to see all those ads that go on throughout the actual, anything. You open up your Gmail, you're working in the Google search or anything, it'll cut down on those ads. And then they give you support. So if you're savvy with it already, you might not need that. But I mean, that's all you get for $6 more. There is a $12 package that gives you the ability to record. With the Google Meets, you can only that's their Zoom version of Google platform. And on that is one thing I failed to mention. It's limited to an hour. Now, I use Google Meets a lot for my meetings because it's basically for meetings. When I do presentations and things like that, I use Zoom. So you want to compare your starter kit to the standard kit, kind of see, what really works for you and what's, whether or not it's worth that money. I know $6 seems like a little bit of money, but, as the time goes, it adds up and you might be able to use that for something that's more beneficial to your business. One of the things that I do have clients that do use this version, this guy here, client accounts that are applicable. You can set up your client accounts and communicate between platforms. So it's, you got to look at it really closely and see what would work for you and what not. Next is that Google Drive I told you about. As you can see here in the illustration, this is a sample of my Google Drive and believe me, I have like about 4 or 5 email addresses, and I do them for different things. This is actually the one for Google Workspace. So you notice here, I made an email address up or folders up just for my Google Workspace, and I can categorize all of them however I want to by these folders. So it's a great storage facility to organize your file. It's file management basically. And you can use it to organize everything from creating folders for your proposals, your quotes, your contracts, your licensing documents. You could put password protection on these folders so that no one else can access it. You can also, if you see here, you see the little guidance inside that means that I've shared it with my client. So you can have a client folder that you share with your client and only that person and you can access it, or any person that you give access to, they can share it. And you can keep that confidentiality there, as well as, just have your folders organized for your internal business and even give access to particular employees inside the company. So you wouldn't want the receptionist to have access to maybe the file that you back up for your QuickBooks or your contract agreements with your other staff. So you create separate folders. Does this happen in the Microsoft world? Yes, there's something called OneDrive. I do like OneDrive. I do use OneDrive, but over OneDrive versus Google Drive, I do prefer Google Drive because it's easy to share the documents with people. With OneDrive, you still got to do that email. And back in the day, email, and there's still some people that don't quite even use email as much as they would like to, because it could be a little bit confusing at times, especially attaching files, things like that. However, with Google Drive, it's a whole lot easier. You just right click on the document and you put the email address in and they're there. And you're not moving from one location on your computer to another. It's right there in your organized file. So it is awesome file management tool. And it works with all the others. So when you're in our next subject, which is Google Calendar, as well as the remaining ones I'm going to talk about, anything that you create in your other platforms on the Google Workspace, they all get saved to that Google Drive. So let's say you created a document, you can't find it, you can always go back to your Google Drive and you'll find it there. So I like that main connection that it has to the file management, so it keeps you very organized. This guy here, Google Calendar, I don't know how we ever live without it. It's a time management and scheduling calendar tool where you can create your business appointments, agendas, important tasks that you have to do for any part of your business. You can attach important files, put links in there, send to people when you send out the invitations for your events. It's just a great time management tool for all of the busy things that are going on. As you see here in my sample, I've got a bunch of things going on this past month, March 22nd. And I believe, no, I don't have it. Oh, no, I don't have, this is Google Workspace. So it would have probably included my calendar right now has this event that I'm doing and all the events I have to do for this month. And then you just pretty much click on it and you can attach files. You can put in video links, anything that you want that person to receive when they get that invite can go into the Google Calendar. But what's more important is that it'll remind you. So I'm gonna come out here real quick and I'm gonna show you. Let's go to my email. So you always go back to your email. When you get here, you're going to see the three other 9 dots. That's like all your Google apps that you have loaded. And look, this is all of what comes with it for free. And then there's a button that says even more. And I'm telling you, it's tons there. But let's go ahead and go to our calendar. And there's all my documents for May. What's really nice about this program is that it notifies you. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my event today, which was 12 p.m. South Jersey. And this was the actual, I was actually initially going to do the link for the Zoom. But then we changed it. It got, you guys decided to do it on your end, which made it a little easier for you. But had we stayed that way, you can actually click on and join with the Zoom meeting. You could also do Google Meets, and Google Meets has been replaced by the Zoom. But if I hadn't put the Zoom meeting in there, I would have said join with Google Meets. So that's really cool. What this part here is what I'm talking about. You can add as many notifications. Now, for me, I have a very busy schedule, as you saw my calendar, and I'm in the 60 realm of age. And so we all know, some of us may know, some of you not. I know Chelsea doesn't. She's like, I don't know, she might be 21 or something. I don't know. But, when you're younger, you can remember things and, 20 things at one time. When you get older and you're in your 60s, you need reminders. And I don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for a program like this, because, well, I always wrote it down, but then, your handwriting is sloppy and you don't write the time or whatever. This takes care of everything for you. So I can actually add these notifications and it'll automatically put it in there. I can tell it to remind me 10 minutes, 5 minutes before. however many days, hours, even weeks before. If it's a reoccurring event, I can go here and instead of it being just this particular day between 12 and 1, I can select repeat and it'll do that. Plus down here is what I was talking about. You can actually insert a link from anywhere, preferably from your Google Drive where you have all your data stored. That's the best way to actually do it. You can also attach a file using the attach feature, which is not showing up on my, I wonder why. There's usually like your little arrow. I'm not sure why it's not here. Maybe because let's do a free one and see. I mean, a new one and see. Discard changes. I'm sorry, let's go new, create. You add the title here, it's an event, put your information, let's go to more options, see why. There we go. I'm not sure why that didn't appear, but you see the attachment there. You can click on attachment and any file from your Google Drive, pick from Google Drive. If it's not your Google Drive sitting out there, then you can go here and do your computer. But it's just so powerful that, it's just so very easy to add things. And then of course here, you could put your agenda and instructions on what you want the person to follow pre-meeting or even post-meeting or even during the meeting. And I have my default set up. You can see there, let me know a day before, a couple hours, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, just so I make sure. You can set that as default. And you can also set default for your Zoom meeting, or if you want it to be Google or anything else. Google works with all kinds of platforms. So if you're using some other kind of platform like GoToMeeting, that all could be incorporated into your Google Calendar. All right, so any questions, you guys? I'm not good at doing the chat. So if you got any questions, just unmute yourself and I'll answer them. Next, we're going to talk. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here, I just say, I don't see any chat, anything on the chat right now.
I have one.
We have a question right here from Dave.
How do you combine multiple Google calendars? Because I have a Google Calendar for business and architecture. I have a Google Calendar for business and flood panel fabrication. I have a Google Calendar for ministry, and I have a Google Calendar for my own personal engineering. And I've got multiple.
I go back and forth between all of them.
Well, I noticed that some of them merge together, but some of them don't, and I would like to get them all onto one calendar. And I've noticed also that I can just highlight those calendars over on the left side. There's calendars that you want to see and you don't want to see at different locations, because at my architectural office, I don't want on that calendar, I don't want my flood panel.
Right, you want them to be separate when they are.
But I
This
do
is
want
what I did.
my computer that has them all.
Right, this is what I did. So you see here, this is my Trina Byrd. So create one that just says your name or whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
The trick is, and when I tell you this, you're gonna be like, oh man. So what you do is from all of those calendars, when you create that event, all you have to do is add yourself or your email associated with that calendar that has them all. So no matter what, I have one for T.Byrd Live, the consulting. I got one for the T.Byrd Center. I got one for my students. The way that you connect them is when you go to that particular calendar and create that event for that particular Google email address or calendar, just add your main one, like Trina Byrd, as a guest. And then they all show up on your Trina Byrd.
Got it. Okay.
All right. And to give you an example, when I look,
I can
so,
set
and
that.
this is how you tell what's what. See the different colors?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know, you color code them. So I don't know what they are. I just picked a color and forgot what it is. But but that's how you do it. So I mean, they'll all come up on my Trina Byrd. But remember, I think it was Dave.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dave, remember, when you go to make a change, you got to go back to your original calendar where you created the event to make the change. Because if you click on it in your Trina Byrd calendar, it won't allow you to do any editing. It'll just allow
Okay.
you to see.
all right, that's not a problem.
That
Okay,
makes sense?
yeah, I think I got that. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I know exactly what you mean. You don't want to pull up, you're in front of a client and it's, let's say it's, the lawyer kind of stuff. You don't want them seeing, your ministry stuff and you don't want them to see anything. You only want them to see what's there for
Exactly.
that particular entity. So that's how you do it.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Very good question. I don't usually,
About
go ahead.
6 months now, and I've given up trying to figure out how to do it.
Oh, well, I'm glad I was able to help you. I really am. I love those questions. I love it. When I do a presentation and nobody interrupts me and asks me questions, I'm upset because I'm like, I got this wealth of knowledge. I want to give it to you. Just tell me what you know, what you need to know, and I have no problems in sharing.
Awesome.
The Google Meets. This is what that'll look like inside the calendar. It'll say join with Google Meets. Now, let me tell you why I use Google Meets versus Zoom. And this happened to us. Chelsea was there, and I was like, I couldn't figure out what's going on because we were in a meeting. The difference between Google Meets and Zoom is Zoom gives you 40 minutes. Google Meets gives you an hour. So I generally use my Google Meets for meetings because that sometimes when you do business meetings, you could get a client that wants to talk forever. And I use my account that's not under Google Workspace for my meeting because on Google Workspace, you can go Google Workspace, Google Meets, you can go as long as you want. But I use my free account for that because then I know that in an hour, it's going to tell me I'm about to go, it's about to close. If I don't, it'll shut right off. And it's a good exit way. Well, our hour's up, we designated an hour's time and you stay on track with it. And you don't feel intimidated or guilty because you kind of cut it off, early. They kind of accept that hour when it's, okay, the program's about to close. I also use Google Zoom for the same reason. If it's probably going to be under 40 minutes, I'll use my free account, which would happen to myself and Chelsea. I didn't realize I opened up the wrong account to do the meeting. And so we just shut off in 40 minutes. Now, the reason I still keep using the 40-minute one is because of some of the features, or I used to, some of the features that Zoom had that Google Meets didn't, with sharing the screen easier and doing like a poll or whatever. Well, now Google Workspace has all of that. All of it. So, if you get the Workspace one, you don't have to worry. And that's $6 a month versus, I don't even know what I paid for Zoom. But Google Workspace is definitely cheaper through Meets. I haven't found anything that I didn't think, it wasn't worth having. Sorry, question?
We do have a question. I know Zoom though is, we have 2 accounts with Zoom for the church and it's expensive. And if you add any more accounts, it's like double. So it's definitely an expensive thing to do. But Jonathan had a
Well,
question.
then you need to look at Google Workspace for $6.
Yeah, it's way cheaper.
So
Yeah, exactly.
here's a quick question. And are you able to share easily to a social media platform? Like what integration is there with social media when it comes to a meeting on Google Meet? So let's say if it is a meeting or if it's more like a live stream type check-in, does it offer that?
There's the app. So remember when I showed you, and this is the coolest thing to do. If it's anything that you don't know about Google in terms of capabilities, you scroll down here to more Google Workspace. and you type in stream Google Meets live on Facebook. Let's see what comes up. Nothing.
Okay, so they don't do it.
So they don't, they're not, they're, but believe me, let's try it another way. Stream, let's say, not Facebook. No, nothing. That's how I find out if they've done anything yet. And then of course the good old fashioned way. Oh, let's see, YouTube. Google Meet will support public live streaming to YouTube. Oh, that's because they own it. So let's see, if you go, let's see. If you're in Google Meets and you're doing a live call and you want to stream to YouTube, yeah, YouTube doesn't go to like Facebook, anything like that.
Now, do you still
Yeah.
have an option to record the meeting, just like Zoom?
Well, yeah, you could record the meeting. So right now, let's see. Can Google Meets? Tell you what I use. It's a little pricey though. Recording is only available for Meet on a computer. Mobile apps don't do it. So here's how you can record it. Oh, you know what? I think they use Screencast-O-Matic. I think it's Screencast. That's the program.
What's up, world? I'm Mr. Vaca, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can easily record your Google Meet. First thing you want to do is launch Google Meet, and once you've opened up that meeting, you're going to want to check the bottom right corner, and you're going to look for the three shapes called the activities button. And once you click on that, you'll then get this pop-up window where you're going to then select recording. Then click start recording again, and you'll get a pop-up window that says, make sure everyone's ready. And once that's all done, click start. And you can check to see if your recording is actually starting in the top left-hand corner where you will see the recording red symbol. Now, to stop the recording, you're going to want to move your cursor back.
Okay, so yes, you can. That's probably going to be free, but maybe there might be some limitations on how long you could record. And I would guess, I'm not sure because I don't use that platform. I would guess that if you had the $6 version, it would not be any limitations on the length of it. Because you got to remember, regular Google Meets is going to just be an hour.
Okay, thanks. We do have a chat question from Bill Robinson. One statement he made was, yeah, which I know, yeah, Zoom gives you unlimited time once it's a business account. That means you're paying for it. He also asked, what about privacy with Google? Most Google stuff you use allows them to have access and use anything that is done on the platform. It's normally hidden in the fine print. Zoom, that is not the same privacy.
That's correct. And that's what that $6 version or the $12 version. If you look at the comparison, and I still don't trust it, to be honest with you. Tell him I don't trust it. But see the security and management controls, that's with the $12 version, as well as the $6. So you would compare between the two, which ones you were most concerned about. But that free version that, everybody just goes and gets a Gmail and has access to Google Meets and all that, there's no security there whatsoever. But, to me, being realistic, if you're paying them $12 to not use your information, how you know they're not?
Yeah.
I don't trust them. I don't. I like the software. I like what they're doing. I like the fact that it's free and how great they are with school districts and all of that, but they are doing it. I mean, there's a reason why it's free, so they can capture as much information as you can. Matter of fact, Google has been calling me, I believe, for 8 years. And I'm not kidding you. to confirm my Google listing of my building 1501. And I've been hanging up on them every day for 8 years. And I'm not exaggerating. Why would they care about my little old building on 1501 South New Road to call me for 8 years? I don't know.
Bill asked or made a statement, if you don't trust it, why would you recommend it? But I think that's.
Well, listen, I don't trust the cars that they build today because they're not safe like they were back in the day, but you got to get from point A to point B. I don't trust the food that we buy in the supermarkets
That's a very good.
that says, what's that label?
FDA or.
Chemicals involved, no, no preservatives, no this, no that. But we all know it can't last on that shelf for more than a day if there's something not in it. I know when I buy fresh bread by next day or day 2, that bread is, it's mold. But if you buy a loaf of bread from the supermarket and it says no preservatives, it'll last you a good 2 weeks. So I don't recommend it to abuse anything, but just be cautious and knowledgeable. And guess what? If you got a client that's about to pay you $1,500 an hour and all they want to be on is Google Workspace, are you going to turn that down and you got a $1,500 mortgage to pay? Or are you going to what? There's no alternatives. We have no alternatives.
Yep.
So
I feel if we have information that we're sharing that is extremely private, we don't want nobody, then we don't use it. But we use it.
and that's a very good point. Don't even call them on the phone. Meet them in person.
Yeah, right.
And make sure you're not under a camera on the street. All right.
You have another.
One of the tools that I teach in my classes that I have my students use Google Meets for is this important thing here. All of us that are in business, we always have to make sure that our pitch for new business is always on task and comes out in a format that we are proud of. And so a good way to practice is to do a Google Meets, set it up, invite your friends, invite family members, and invite people that are really going to criticize you in a good way. And have them, you have them ask you questions, prepare the questions ahead of time, send it to them in the Google Calendar, and then just practice your business elevator pitch and get the feedback from them. Or if you are creating a new product or a new service and you want feedback from it. Back in the day, it costs a lot of money to get, people pay a lot of money to find out what people think about their product and their service. Well, you could do it with Google Meets. Invite, you may even want to invite one of your competitions, if you feel safe in doing that. But definitely invite people and then do your pitch, show off your product or your service, and the next program I'm about to show you about, get them to evaluate you and get that feedback, and you don't spend too much money on doing it other than the time that it took you to prepare it all. What a great tool to do that. People usually think of Google Meets as just meeting to talk about business, but you could use it to help your business in terms of this format as well. Google Docs, this is a no-brainer. I mean, it's the same as Microsoft Word. The only difference, well, there's a couple of differences between Google Docs and Microsoft Word. Google Docs, you don't save anything. It actually automatically saves to the Google Drive. So you don't have to do file save as. You don't have to worry about, did you save it or did you, give it the right name or anything like that. It's so easy to actually use. It's just incredible. And you can use it for all kinds of documents like your credibility statement. By the way, everybody should have a credibility statement. That's the new thing. If you didn't know, that goes along with your pitch. Create yourself a credibility statement. There's a sample right there of one that I received recently from a guy who he's just got this big government contract, and guess what? Google Works is a platform that they're using. and he knows nothing about it. So he has hired me to help him put together all of his these forms and just how to use it and save it. And he has to know how to upload it from Google Drive to their platform, all of that intricate stuff. So when he sent me his capability, I was like, wow, I really like that. I'm gonna use that in my presentation. This is recent too. This is probably about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So capability statement is a big thing now. It used to be resume or your bio, things like that. Now the buzzword is credibility statement. Your elevator pitch, you can draft it up there, and then as you record it or do your presentation in Google Meets, you can use that. Your flyers, policies and procedures, all that. The great news is that it all gets saved over to your Google Drive. So you got your backup immediately. Now, some would say, well, that can happen in the Microsoft world as well, because they have OneDrive. And once you turn on OneDrive, all your documents get saved there as well. And they do. However, sharing them to other people is a task in and of itself. It's just so much easier with Google Workspace. And guess what? They don't have to have the Workspace version. They can have just a regular Gmail account that will allow them to, work on the project is the same as time as you are in real time. Get the most latest version. If you change it on your end, you don't have to go and send out a new one to everybody else. When they open it up, the new changes will be there. So it's all real time. And the same thing with Google Sheets. The drive part and the real time, everything is just instant. People could be working on it. I use this when I use Google Sheets when I do my classes for attendance. So everybody goes in and you can literally see them typing in their name and their email address as, because it's a shared document. So it's in real time. Everybody's signing in at the same time. There's no conflict there because they're using their own individual email address. And I've made the actual sign-in sheet public. So imagine doing an event like you have today, and you want everybody that's is in the in-person venue as well as the people that are online. They all sign in using the same documents. You don't got one that you have them fill out in person, and then you got another one that you fill out. I mean, they can go right to their phones, bring up as long as they have the Google app on their phone. They can go, or you email them the email, and they just click on the email, open up the form, and they just type in their name and their email, and you got instant attendance. Instant. It's just so it's just so cool. So very cool.
Trina, there's another statement question by Bill on the chat here. He says, so if you save it in Google Drive, what happens when there's no internet and cloud? Question, wouldn't it better practice to have a hard copy and a backup besides a cloud-based program that you're at the mercy of their platform?
You are absolutely right. This is what I do, especially my important documents, like my training materials that I have for my my students. No, wait a minute, let me get on the right one. Oh, I'm in YouTube. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So here's my students' Gmail. So when I go to Google Drive, and I have like my classes. So let's say my 2020 classes. Those are done. I need to make sure all these documents are actually, is this? Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. This was like the folder we have with everybody's draft. You can right click and you can actually download or move to another location, like move to another location outside of the drive that you're already in with the move to, or you can download it to your hard drive.
Yeah.
And it'll come up and ask you where you want to download it to.
Can you do that with multiple gangs? Can you just take the whole platform and download it into a zip drive? Would it take everything?
If you have everything in the folder, yes. Yep. But when you do, I found with OneDrive too, not just Google Drive. I'm gonna stop this. It's preparing it. It's a big file, so I'm gonna cancel that. Because I've done that with my OneDrive, and you know what? I can't tell you the number of times that I went to open up a folder. You see how big my OneDrive is, because I do a lot of projects. I've tried to go like this and, do them all at once, click on them and have them all come down. And sometimes I open up the drive and it's empty. I mean, the folder. So now I do like a couple at a time, and then I go back in and check and make sure, but it's your preference. But you can highlight them. If you just do your control or shift, you can highlight them all and put them all at one time. And going from Google Drive or OneDrive, so it doesn't matter which one. You can highlight them all. That answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Then we have our Google Slides. That's the same as, PowerPoint. It's really cool. I don't do too many presentations in Google. This is my least favorite program. But what I do get from Google Slides is they have a lot of great templates, but so does Microsoft. I don't find that Google Workspace Slides does anything. In fact, there's some limitations that I just, can't find and this is my least favorite. This is the one I don't see too much. I don't use too much, but other people may find benefit in it, but you use it for all the same things, your catalog, training events, project development, business portfolio, stuff like that. Things that you want to share. Again, this is about sharing and getting the data to your whoever you're sending it to. When you do it on the Google platform, it's just so much easier. Now, this is my second greatest program, Google Forms. This program allows you to create job applications, registrations, evaluations, anything you could think of that's a form. Google Forms does it, and they do it in a really, really great way. I like it for all my clients' evaluations. In fact, you guys will get one at the end of the presentation to evaluate this actual workshop that you've attended. I use it for invites. So if you're interested in taking any of our Google our Google Workspace classes, you'll also get a form in the thank you email that I'll send out through Google. And it'll have all these different options that, things that we do, and we kind of do give away to our clients and people that attend our workshops, those kinds of things. We use Google Forms to do it. So you'll get a firsthand experience of actually utilizing that program. And I have like a ton of them. I can't tell you how this program is just so cool. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Question, yep, Jonathan. Quick question on the forms. Is the forms pretty much just like a PDF type, sheet?
No,
Or
no.
Can you actually create, like, let's say, can you set up an appointment through Google Forms? Can you set it up with your calendar? Is it more interactive on that end, or just like a questionnaire / ...
Well, you can. So let's go to my T.Byrd Live. I'll show you that because you asked about the calendar. So I'll go to my T.Byrd Live. See, I'm over here somewhere. I'm gonna keep opening up all this stuff. Oh, there we go. So when I do my show, which is weekly, I send out this Google form. So I talk a little bit about my show here, what we want you to do, send you over, because we use a program called StreamYard to actually conduct the show. So I give them information on that. I do a Google Meets to tell them, just to interview them pre-show. I use the StreamYard, just giving them all these instructions. And so here I'm getting their name, capturing their information. I put this in there because I'm getting people from around the world now. I gotta be aware of who and where they're coming from. Down here, see where you can add a file. So you can add a file that they can actually fill out when they get it. You could put a link to a calendar program called Calendly, and from there they can book appointments. Google Forms works with Calendly. That's CALENDY. DLY, I'm sorry. DLY. And I thought I had it in here, but by the time they get this, they've already booked the show. Let's see. I think I have one in here where this is business tools. They click on it. It even can take payments. Google Forms can do so much. I even set it up where if you're registering for a class, I can use Google Forms to register the class. I can send you, it's a link there where you go to another form, or a link that goes to a point of sale. I mean, it's everything. It's not limited in any way. Now, it doesn't talk to Google Calendar, but you can send the invite with a link to the Google form. So they still get connected. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
And Calendly is a free program. I don't use the form, the paid for one. And then you just go here and you book the page. They give you, you'll see my show is booked May, June. My next openings are in July. So I'm booked up pretty much on the show. However, I've got my link going to the form, that form I just showed you right in there. I could also have that link in Google Calendar, where when they book the appointment, it goes to Google Calendar. I set the connection up between Calendly and my Google Calendar. So when I go to my Google Calendar, I will see exactly who's booked for that show. And again, I added my personal T.Byrd so I can see who's next on the show. So there's my show booking. That came from Calendly. So Calendly can come from the form to Calendly. I know it's a couple of little working parts there, but once you get it in place, this will automatically appear in your calendar. You don't have to do anything. It automatically goes there. And you can also have the form. If they didn't fill out the form, I have them fill out the form. If you didn't do Calendly for some reason, or you're booking another date, you can do that. So it's all connected, but you really got to know how to do all the working parts. But you only do it once. So don't be intimidated by all I just showed you, because once you set it up, then it just flows every time. All right, let's kind of wrap this up. Google Sites. This is another cool program. Many of you probably already have a web page, but Google Sites does have a free platform. It's very limited. It's just like informational, and it's free. It's good for a new business starting out. If you don't have all that money that you have to, pay somebody to do a web page and all that, this program is Google Sites is very user friendly. You get like 4 or 5 pages with it. You pick a template and you just add your upload. It's so easy, user friendly. It's ridiculous. And then you got a presence. So definitely want to throw that in there for anybody that, is starting out with their business, or they're trying to, a website's not really important to them. Most people use their social media. I mean, it's real important to have that social media out there. So web pages are kind of secondary now, and social media, Instagram, and all of these other platforms are really taking over. So do you want to maintain a fee of $200 or $300 a year for hosting and all that, when you could have the same thing with Google Sites and not have as much information. And most of us go to our social media and update that more often than we do the website anyway. So just have a free website out there that you can use and then stay prominent with your social media platforms. They also have Google Blog, which is a place where you can, provide free information about your business or your service. It's a great marketing tool. It is, again, user-friendly, easy to use, comes with the Google Workspace, free version and $6 version. And, when you post on social media, you can put the link in for your blog. And the reason I kind of brought this to you is because it all works together under Google. So you're not going 20 different places for this, that, and the other. It's all under one umbrella. And that question was, if everything goes down, what do you do? Well, when Google goes down, you won't be worried about how to get it back up. You're trying to worry about something more important, I believe. The
Trina-
last one is Google. Go ahead, question.
Yeah, Bill's asked, how are you marketing these to the customer base? Does these programs automatically email the clients? If you do a Google site, I would suggest regulating a domain name because otherwise it would be a Google domain name.
Oh yeah, it will. But again, remember I prefaced that with you don't have a lot of money. So you just want to have a Google website out there. Just, you're starting, you're a home-based business. You don't have a lot of money to get started. When you go to the level of being, I won't say in a real business because every business is real, but you've exceeded from like level 1 to maybe level 2 or level 3 in your business, then you really need to have your own domain name. Yes. Also, there are a lot of websites where you can do business with, but they only want a business email address. They will not accept a Gmail or Yahoo or any of that. So it depends on what your business is doing and how you're doing it and what you need as to whether you have your own domain name. A lot of companies, a lot of agencies that teach these kinds of classes say you got to have one. And then there's a lot that say you don't use social media. So it's not one size that fits all. So you got to make it fit what's good for you and what your product or service is doing. And as long as it's working, don't spend unnecessary money just so you can appear to be something. Because you can appear to be great using Google Workspace. You can appear to be great using Microsoft Office 365. But at the end of the day, it's about, client vendor relationships and whatever one of those work. Google Classroom is a great place to store a lot of information. It doesn't replace Google Drive because everything that's on Google Classroom ends up on Google Drive as well, but it's a good communication tool when you're sending out documents. I introduced it to this committee when we did the bylaws because it was a great way to get the input and the feedback from everybody associated with the organization in one platform. So Google Classroom is good for any training needs that you have, as well as business needs in terms of being able to post things and people can get them right away without having to worry about their email addresses. If you go to, I'm not sure if I can get into you guys. Oops. I don't know what happened there. You guys still see me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So here, oh yeah, we're still up there. And I'm actually still in there. But this guy here is a powerful tool, not just for schools. So Stream, once you have all your people listed, and everybody that's a member of the South Jersey Christian Business Network should have received an email and should respond so that your name populates here. And so when we do a Stream announcement, we just put the announcement up here and everybody gets it. So you're not, worrying about email addresses. You're not worrying about anything except posting what you need to send out and hitting send, and everybody gets it. So it's really a nice program to implement in your business, even though it was not meant to be a business platform. It was really meant to be a platform for school districts. And it became very popular during the pandemic simply because of the fact that everybody was, doing the homeschooling thing. And the school districts found out that it was a great tool to use inside or outside the classroom. So it is very, very popular right now. All right, so I've gone over giving you a lot of food for thought. We do 1, 2, and 3 day workshops at $59, starting at $59. We also, in any event that we do, we provide a Thursday day where we just kind of come together and I answer questions, share information. So that, that day is on us, that we make sure that everybody is learning from whatever course that or class that they take. All of our curriculum is state approved. For every workshop that you take with us, every paid workshop that you take with us, we provide a certificate or a credential, depending on credential, meaning if you took like the whole Google suite, then we have a credential for that, a certification for that. If you have you took 1 or 2 classes, then you'll just get like basically a certificate. So we definitely, would love to be your training provider. We usually don't do one-on-one, but we do, we can. I do a lot of group classes where I teach, people from different backgrounds or same industry. I do a lot of same industry, so that you're not, I'm like, people not asking questions about, let's say casino, because we're in the casino world, versus the health industry. I do industry specific classes so that everybody is on the same page. And these are some of the freebies that we give you when you sign up for our classes. We have a great template link for Workspace and Microsoft 365 templates, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. With the paid registrations, we give you 1 year of our monthly publication, which includes a lot of free webinars like what you're on now. We'll do one that's just on like Word or just on Docs, because we get a lot of requests of comments and questions about things. So I'll just make a webinar out of it and go live and answer questions. And all of our events require homework assignments. So you have a takeaway with anything I do. I'm not just going to sit there and talk for hours and then you leave and answer questions. That's a good format. But I give you an assignment to do, and then we follow up on that Thursday to make sure you did it and answer any questions if you had any trouble. And we have our 60-day subscription for Constant Contact for business owners that need a great marketing tool to actually send out to their clients and customers. And we do a free, if you subscribe to the paid, we do a free workshop to teach you how to set everything up and get you rolling. We don't just get you to sign up for the subscription and then you figure it out on your own. We do workshops so that you're actually using it. You know how to use it and you appreciate using it because it's getting you more business. Any questions?
Bill asked, what's the max number of attendees are in one class?
Oh, I keep it small. When I do this thing called a Zoom networking, and usually it's about 20, 30 people in there. And that's just a networking thing. So we just, what we do is we go around the room, everybody talks about what they do. And then, they ask questions and we answer it as a group. But I usually do 10 or less in any of my classes. I don't even like doing 10. To be honest with you, I prefer 8 people in my workshops. And the reason being is because if you're having difficulty, we switch over to your computer. Everybody can see what problem you're having. I tell you how to resolve it. I have control on your computer to show you what you did wrong and how to fix it. And you can't do that with a lot of people in the class. I usually do 8 to 10, and typically they're 8 people. I try and keep it small. We only do 4 as minimum. So otherwise it's a one-on-one situation.
All right. Thank you, Trina. So appreciate your time. I think we learned a lot of good discussion, and I use Google in a lot of my stuff, but I definitely learned even more how I could utilize it all in one platform. So it's
Great.
Good stuff. Thank you so much.
Stay on top of it, because that organization, the company is, Google is growing in leaps and bounds, and they're doing things that make business life so much easier. I know it takes a learning, some time to learn it and dedicate some time to it, but I can guarantee you, once you figure out how to do it, or once you take a class and is shown how to do it, you'll be glad you invested that time, because that investment saves you more time, and time is always about money when it comes to, your product or your service and the deliverables of it. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I will be sending out our evaluation form, so look for it in the email, and please complete it. It helps us to do better when we know better. And there's also a little prize I'll be sending you out when you,
Oh,
from
wow.
our Google Forms, that you'll get just for attending our workshop. That's going to be very helpful in your quest of implementing Google Workspace.
Thank you. I'll be sending this video once I download, upload it, and send it out to the different members that were not able to attend. And so they might reach out to you for questions beyond what when they listen to it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you all. You all have a great day.
All right, thank you.